Hi, everyone. How's it going? My name is Mike B. And I'm joined today by my friend, Mr. Josh Allen, aka Lore. Is that a
I
kazoo?
found a kazoo.
Wah wah. Like, it was perfect. Yeah, we finally have a theme song.
Yeah. Welcome to Don't Get Your Hopes Up. That's our theme song now.
Now I have to get a kazoo so we can like come up with some harmonies and such.
Yeah. We're going mainstream with these kazoos.
On today's show, we have a good solid handful of things. Some things
we in fact do.
We might not get to, so we're not going to actually mention those things that we're going to be talking about today. But we could talk about the first thing because we are definitely going to get to that.
At the rate we're going, we might not.
Deus Ex, twitch.tv/can't kill progress or something, right? Project KCP or something. I don't know what it was called.
I think it was twitch.tv/can't kill progress.
Oh, okay. So that popped up, and did you have a chance to actually watch it?
I watched like maybe 3 minutes of it, but everyone else was watching it like constantly.
There was probably about an average of about 8,500 people that are watching throughout the day. They had this guy. Initially, he was sitting in a chair, like an interrogation room chair. He had a bag over his head, and his hands were strapped down. And these guys came over, and it's supposed to be something that you can interact with, like the chat room can interact with. But it seemed to get a little wonky. Like they had to like replay a couple things a few times. It was like it kind of killed the whole immersion of it. But these guys came over with these totally legit Russian accents. Yeah. And the guy also had a Russian accent. And so again, two Russian guys were speaking English to each other with their super heavy Russian accents. And he asked them, let's do some questions, whatever. And then he's like, "What kind of music do you listen to?" And then it popped up, and it's all like, "What kind of music?" And you had to choose. You know, chat room was all like, "It's like classical or folk," and it's like, "Oh, they're choosing." And then like it plays the classical video, and he's all like, "Oh, okay, good," and whatever. And then it like replayed, and it's all like, "Oh, folk." It's like, "Oh, okay, good." Then I'm like, "Wait, what happened?" You know, like. So eventually, I don't know.
Then all of a sudden, Darude Sandstorm.
Yeah, everyone was calling for that too. It's like, please.
What kind of music do you listen to? Do.
So like, eventually ends up on the floor. And at this point, it's like I just kind of tune out because it felt like they kept replaying the same thing over and over again. And you could change cameras. I guess chat was able to change cameras by like saying camera 1, camera 2, whatever. Yeah. But it was just a guy in a room. Empty room, laying on the floor, like sleeping or passed out or whatever, for hours. Like actually, literally 4 hours worth. And then at the end of that 4 hours, he would there'd be a new question or something that pop up. I don't know who stayed for the entire duration or whatever. At that point, I was just like, you know what, fuck it. I'll just come back later when you guys want to tell me what it is.
Yeah, yeah. It felt like what was it, like a 3-day stream or something like that this was going on for.
Yeah,
it felt like
something like that. 2 days.
Yeah, long.
Yes,
basically.
Long.
I felt like it was way too long. Like, at first it was holding the like 10K, 8K sort of viewership. Towards the end, it was dwindling down to like 3K because people just didn't care anymore. It was certainly an interesting like strategy, though.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the big problem they had was that someone leaked it, like leaked what the announcement was before it actually finished. Like some Russian newspaper or something, I think, was like, Deus Ex, whatever the name of it is, new game. It's in Russian, like, but like it got leaked ahead of time, and everybody like already was like, oh, this is a new Deus Ex game. This is exactly Deus Ex the whole time. So that kind of killed the mood a little bit too. But I do have to say, absolutely fucking everyone has been talking about Deus Ex for the past like 3 or 4 days.
Yes. Yep.
Like, I watched maybe a grand total of 3 minutes of this stream. Like, I looked at it once and I was like, that's interesting. I don't care anymore. And that was about it. But like, people were tweeting about it nonstop. People were like, if you knew one person who was watching the stream and like trying to keep up with it, then you were getting constant updates, and like 10 other people now are constantly updated on this thing. Like, people like Jesse Cox are going, oh my god, it's Deus Ex, it's gotta be Deus Ex. There's no way it's not Deus. Oh, it's Deus Ex. And yeah, so I feel like, for like, knowing the minimal amount of actual cost this thing probably actually like, I'm sure they spent probably more than they needed to on it, but this is the sort of thing that would be relatively inexpensive to pull off. Like, probably $200K at the most, I would say. Well, no, actually, if you start, depending on how much they actually had to pay actors and stuff, if they used actual actors and stuff, it could probably get a little bit more. But like 500K tops is about what I would expect, given my limited knowledge of how much this sort of thing costs.
I would say significantly less.
Yeah.
Just because, well, I mean, it's pretty easy to find actors to come in and just pull out, unless it's somebody that they use like throughout the series or whatever, which obviously that'd be different. But to shoot a production like that, like, you're looking at less than 20,000.
Right.
And the only reason why I say that is because there was not a lot of moving pieces. There was pretty much just a room, dimly lit, so you didn't really have to do a lot of dress of the room itself. And
they obviously didn't need to have 36 hours of a guy sitting in the room. Like, they were able to
do some looping.
Yeah, get some looping, and they were doing like the weird, the camera glitched out for a second, guys.
Yeah.
Stuff, which, yeah.
And getting actors, like these day actors and stuff like that, like aspiring actors and people, like, you could get them for pretty cheap.
That's definitely true.
Sometimes like free, you know.
Yeah, they just want the credit. For their portfolio.
So I mean, I'd say maybe upwards of like 30K if they're paying a premium for certain things or whatever. But like, camera quality, all that stuff, like, it seemed like it was just okay, you know. But still, like,
I mean, the cheaper it is, the better this was for them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but still, it's like they got the word out. The people are talking about it. But yeah, whether or not they're trash talking the little intro thing, whatever, they're still talking about the game.
Yeah.
Did you play through Human?
I never did. No. I've heard tons and tons and tons of good things about it, but I've never actually played it.
Oh, damn it! I was hoping you would, so you could just I don't know, spoil it for me. Now I have to play it. I've only gone through like the first several minutes of it. I basically waited. It was something that wasn't really like in my. I played the first Deus Ex, but I didn't necessarily get too far. My problem with the game at that time was it wasn't actiony enough for me.
Yeah.
A lot of the RPG elements, I felt like that was holding me back from the actual action. And during that time, that was like my Unreal Tournament, period. So, everything was holding me back from action from that perspective. But I played enough to get it, like the implants and the augmentations and all that stuff. I understood it. But the second one, or not, I guess not the second one, but when the last one came out, it looked super cool. And then I just missed it. I was like, oh, I'll wait for it to go on sale. Like everybody else, I'll wait for a summer sale. Got it for like $5. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll just never play this game, because that's what happens when you buy things on sale.
Yeah. That's what happens in Steam sales.
Yep. So, interesting. We don't know a whole lot about it yet.
Yeah. There's Russians involved.
That you're right, it was leaked.
Yeah. Yeah, I am impressed by how much like actual marketing they've gotten out of it, really. Because like, if they hadn't done this whole thing, this conversation would have been, hey, did you hear about that new Deus Ex game? No. That would have been the conversation. So yeah, it's an interesting way for a game that probably would have flown under a ton of people's radar to get the word out there and be like, we're still relevant. We're still here.
Yep.
We're coming out with a new game. You should play it.
Speaking of leaks, let's jump straight to the end. Tony Hawk 5. There is this guy who is apparently a caterer for a press event. Took a picture of his work. He's standing in the middle of this thing. This is the part where I wish we had a video element of it because I could show you guys. But just Google Tony Hawk 5, and you'll see this guy. He's like standing there, like, look at what I've done with this beautiful work, and it's in the middle of a half pipe, a bunch of tables dressed neatly, and like dinner tables dressed neatly, and then at the far end of the picture, at the far end of the half pipe against the wall, there's a screen with a projector. Shooting the logo Tony Hawk 5 on it. This caterer basically leaked Tony Hawk 5. So, surprise! Tony Hawk 5 is going to be talked about sometime very soon.
Yeah, well, and like last year, like this article on Polygon is talking about it. Like that there's a new Tony Hawk game isn't exactly new news. Like that was something that Activision and the Hawk himself confirmed last year.
Yep.
And said that they were planning to launch it this year. So it's just funny, is all. Like that that it's called Tony Hawk 5, which apparently is just a working title, not necessarily the final title. But B, that this guy is like, look at this thing I did, as the name of an unannounced game is sitting on the back. Like, do you not understand what event it is you're catering?
I know. He doesn't play video games. He doesn't know.
Yeah. Also, like, yes, the tables are neatly dressed. My 13-year-old niece could have also done this. I don't want to shit on this guy too much or anything, but the fact that he's got this, like, look at this thing I did, look how awesome this is, and it's like folding chairs and red tablecloths. It's like, okay, dude, like, sure, you successfully catered a event that clearly someone else did the heavy muscle on, because the heavy muscle was putting it in a half pipe.
So you've obviously played Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Yeah.
Which one did you play the most of?
The first one.
The first one?
Maybe it was 2 actually.
2 was Did it have Guerrilla Radio by Rage Against the Machine? The soundtrack is how you tell them apart.
Yeah. The one that I played the most of, I think, was 1, because that was the one that had Jerry Was a Race Car Driver on it.
I have to look it up now. Great soundtrack. Let's see.
And Superman. Superman by Goldfinger.
Yes.
I used to.
Yeah.
Was that the first one?
Well, it's not the second one. Oh, wow. So so I'm mixing 2 up. So I played 2 and 3.
Okay.
Those are the 2 that I played the most. Those games are fucking awesome.
They're so good. I already heard that there was a new Tony Hawk game coming, but now I'm like extra, like, good work, this caterer. Like, you've now managed to make me extra excited for Tony Hawk 5. Because, like, I'm sitting here going, oh man, I would play the shit out of another Tony Hawk game. Like, as long as they don't do, like, did you ever play the game Skate?
I've seen the videos, which are the best part of Skate.
They are the best part of Skate. The problem that Skate had for me, at least, is that it just wasn't very fun to actually play. Like, they did this whole, like, you're gonna move your thumbs around on the right thumbstick as though you're doing tricks on the board, and so you had to be like, yeah. So it's like you just go straight forward if you want to ollie, you go to the left if you want to kick flip, you go to the right if you want to heel flip, stuff like that.
It was like Surgeon Simulator meets Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it was cool, but it would be really, really frustrating, because they'd be like, okay, you have to do exactly this trick that this guy's about to do. You have to follow him and do exactly this trick. And it would show you, like, this trick is that you do a swirly around at the bottom and then push it forward. and then you do exactly that, and it'd be like, you did a nollie somehow. Congratulations.
Yeah, see, the best part about Tony Hawk games is you basically just lean in the direction. Yeah, you could seriously just push buttons, mash X, hit the Y, doing all your up down. All of a sudden, you could just do whatever you want and get scores, and then you can sit there and like hop while you're like grinding and just hop and do different tricks and keep the rail going and then get like a billion score and everyone's like whoa and you're like I don't have any idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, that was always the best. That was like you would do the little like tournament things where it's like, oh, you get three tries to do the best that you possibly can, and you need to get the gold medal or whatever. And I would always be like, right, I know that on this track I can get up into the ceiling if I do this one goofy little thing, get up into the ceiling and grind on one of the rails up there, and that's going to take me from this half pipe over to this pool. And that was what was fun about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, is like doing all this ridiculously crazy shit that doesn't make any amount of sense whatsoever. That's what I enjoyed about that. So I am as long as this is like, don't give me a realistic skating game. Nobody wants to do a realistic. If I want to do a realistic skating game, I'd go out and buy a $20 skateboard.
Exactly.
I would just go ride a skateboard and probably kill myself.
Just stay true to the game. Have some of your legacy pros in there. You know, maybe Bam or Jarrett could show up. You know, like, throw in everybody you want, and just update the graphics. You know, you could probably maybe like have an updated soundtrack, but I think people would be okay if it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally fine with some Bad Religion and some PM5K.
Yeah. Pull some ska back in there or something. Give me some Mighty Boss Tones or something.
Some real big. Oh man.
Yeah.
I would even. Yeah. See, like, let us make the game. They're gonna fuck it up somehow.
Yeah. Let's make the soundtrack.
Just let us do it. I know. We'll send you a Spotify list. All right.
Yeah. Exactly.
We got this. Don't worry.
Listen, we'll send you a Pandora station that's seated with Power Man 5000 and Goldfinger and Primus, and just take whatever comes up.
Sprinkle a little bit of KRS-One on there, because you gotta have a little bit of mix of that.
Yeah, it's some CKY.
I am I am so pumped for this game. If I'm disappointed,
if this game is disappointing to me, I might have to go join a monastery or something. Like,
yeah, you'd have to try to be disappointing with, like, you know what it would be? Oh man, I'm gonna kill it right now. Like, if it was just microtransaction heavy. Like, if you get in and it's like, oh, well, there's all these different skateboards that have all these different skills, balanced, fast, agile, and then you have to pay extra for, for maybe cosmetic upgrades or maybe a certain kind of board or something. Oh, they have the Back to the Future hoverboard because it's 2015 and that's hot. Yeah, that's a microtransaction. Like, there is a way they could mess this up.
All this means is that I'm going to spend $400 on this game. all that any of that would mean is that it worked and I spent all of my money on this game.
Get the guy who designed the Trials custom builder, like, sandbox engine. Put him on the team and let people make their own shit. Like, make it, so it basically has a track editor, and allow people just to make stuff. I mean, the tracks that came with the original games were like what you described with the way you got from one point to another. Like, there was like hundreds of different ways you could transition in that game, and what was great about it is there wasn't a single way to do it. They always had so much stuff in. You could just choose your own adventure and never do the same thing twice, because they had just enough stuff in there to for you to basically bounce off of, or grind, or manual to, or whatever. Like, they made it work. So adding a track editor, I think, would just basically give us endless amounts of entertainment. Of course, they could always just sell us tracks in map packs. They could do that.
Yeah. Wasn't there a track editor in one of the Tony Hawk games? I feel like there was.
I feel like there was too, and I think it was probably one of the later ones.
Yeah, it might have been 3, maybe?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I remember that you couldn't make any tracks that were as cool as the ones that came with the game. But you could still do some neat stuff with it.
It's kind of interesting. The PS2 version of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 earned a rare perfect 10 score from GameSpot, one of only 8 games to ever receive said score.
I think it deserves it.
One of only 8 games, I would say, at the time to have had that score. Now it's like there's tens up. I'm sure there's probably tons of tens, hundreds of tens. IGN gave it a 9.7 out of 10, saying that it should go down in history as one of the best Twitch fests on PS2. Yes, Tony Hawk 3 is that good. The perfect skating game remains just a tiny hair's breadth out of reach, but if you are not satisfied with the purchase of this game, head examinations are recommended.
Yeah, that was one of those, like, you buy this game and your $50, $60, whatever it was at the time, is money well spent. You will play this game until the next one comes out, sort of game. Yeah.
So now I'm gonna go figure out how to install.
I wonder if it's on like the PS4 Play Plus or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, I bet it is. Hold on a second. Let me see. Come on.
This reminds me that I just got through PS Plus. They had Ollie Ollie 2 on there also, which is like a skating platformer game that I haven't played yet, but it looks really fun.
Hey, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 is on.
Oh.
I actually think I own that, or I own it somewhere because I remember playing it and it was not as good. It didn't quite. I mean, it was the first one, so you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was okay. It was definitely not as good.
Yeah, Pro Skater 2 was probably the best of the series.
Oh, that's right. It's a re-release. That's why I remember that. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. It's not as good. Yeah, 2 and 3. Go buy a PS2.
Yeah. Or a PS3, backwards compatible. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I wonder if it is on the service, on the download service or whatever. The on lives.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I just want this game to be good so that I can play it a lot.
So, you heard about the domain squatting thing?
Yeah.
So I was there, man. I was watching it unfold, and I was like, wow. Like, it went from haha to wow, you're a huge dick to I don't know, to just like huge. Or huge-ish, I should say. Could have been worse, but it was pretty shitty. For those of you guys who didn't know, a game called a collectible minifigures game called Lego Dimensions was announced this morning, super early, because I woke up at like 6 and it was like all over the place.
Yeah, game along the lines of like Skylanders and
Amiibo,
yeah.
Buy Legos, put them on a platform or something, and then play them in the game.
Yep.
It was the biggest thing ever this morning at 6, and this guy tweets out and he says, "Oh, good thing I bought this domain yesterday. Ha ha ha. LegoDimensions.com." And if you click on the link, it actually led to his review of the game, not to Lego Dimensions.
Yeah.
His review of, I guess, the system, or like, no, not his review. I'm sorry, like his article about the system. And he said he bought it yesterday. And the way he worded it was kind of like, oh, ho, ho, look at that. I was just out buying domain names, and all of a sudden I got one that's hot, but in less than 24 hours. It's crazy. So people obviously lost their shit about it.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, like if you're a games reviewer and someone goes like, "Hey, you come review our game. We're gonna send you a copy of our game to review because this is how you get paid by doing reviews, and so we're now doing you the favor of sending you our game for free so that you can review it, so that you can continue to collect a paycheck. And then you go, oh, they haven't registered the domain for it yet. I should just do that. Hang on a sec. Let me just break my NDA or whatever. Break my embargo or something. Like, this is knowledge that you have in advance for reasons that are pertaining to your job, and then you decide to, like, it's just shitty. It's shitty.
So he says that he got the information from a videogamer.com article that was posted yesterday. And the article itself is actually super vague. Doesn't really give any information on dates or anything like that. So, first off, I will say that, yeah, redirecting it, like the actual link to your site, is extraordinarily shitty.
Yeah.
Like next level shitty. Taking the getting the URL, I think it's fine if you have the intention of handing it over, which he eventually did. However, before I go on to like my experiences with these stupid domains, they actually had another one, officialdestinymagazine.com. If you go to officialdestinymagazine.com, it'll, unless it changed again, but now it should lead you to a Jim Sterling video about Destiny. I think it's like the cave farming video or something like that. I don't know. But before that, first thing this morning, it actually led to one of their writers' author pages. And so it was like, okay, do these guys buy URLs and just redirect it to their sites just to like leech all this stuff? Like, what the hell's going on? Like, and Zam, me specifically, Zam has been doing this forever, but we own over 1,000 domains. I have probably purchased maybe a couple hundred domains, maybe more. Actually, definitely more, probably 250 or so. We've also dumped a bunch over the past couple years that I've been with Sam. There was a game that was super low on everyone's radar when it was first kind of talked about, called A Hat in Time. It's now a Wii exclusive, or a Wii U exclusive, I guess. But initially it was supposed to be a PC game, and it's very much like Mario Galaxy, very much like that, but a little more flavor. It has its own kind of unique flavor and theme. I'm going through and I'm registering domains because, when we see a hot game, we register domains. Like, for example, I own like Overwatch DB and Overwatch Wiki and Overwatch whatever, right? You name it, I probably own it. And I being Zam.
Right.
It's just something we do because we build these sites. So we do have an Overwatch site, and so we use the URLs. So A Hat in Time comes out, and I'm all like, this game looks amazing. Like, I think people would definitely be talking about it. Of course, before I knew they were going to Wii U exclusive. But yeah, I buy out a bunch of domains, and just I don't know, just because, right? I just type in A Hat in Time at the end, because whenever you go to GoDaddy, you type in A Hat in Time or the URL name, like a basic game name, it'll throw a bunch of random stuff at the end,
Yeah.
It'll be like, oh, did you mean A Hat in Time Galaxy 64 whatever dot guru dot whatever? And it's like, no, but sometimes you can use that for inspiration. I entered in A Hat in Time, hit enter, and it said, oh, ahatintime.com is available. And I was like, what? So I bought it. I bought it because, as a Zam, we have been in the unfortunate position of having to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for URLs that are suited to one of our sites, like LOL King or something like that. Like, it'd be a King site, and it's like, okay, well, we don't have this URL, and this guy's basically squatting on it, and he wants $5,000. It's like, oh, well, we messed up by not buying it initially, and that's usually the attitude we take with it. And I was worried that, somebody might actually buy it, so I bought it, and then I emailed the guy, and I was like, hey, so I have this domain. What do you want me to do? Like, it should be yours. He's like, oh yeah, just forward it. I really appreciate it. Just forward it. I was like, okay, cool. I think we've actually been paying for it now for a couple of years, but it's whatever. It's like $13.
Well, and it gets you some goodwill with the developer as well.
Sure, yeah.
It's always good to have in the gaming industry is goodwill with developers.
Yeah, totally. And so yeah, if you, I mean, you could go and look this up yourself. I think there's two of them. There's hatintime.com and ahatintime.com. The game's actually called ahatintime.com, and I think that's the one I got. If you who is that, it'll tell you it's Zam. But that's the thing. It's like he didn't intend to do that initially. And we buy a ton of domains, and we're probably inadvertently squatting on a couple, but people reach out to us to buy these things. Who don't, the resellers basically reach out to us because they want to buy them for super cheap and then like resell them. But we own 1,000+ domains. We might be accidentally cyber squatting on something, but if somebody reaches out to us for something and they have a site they're building, then obviously we'll hook them up, especially if it's the name of the game.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the key thing here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that like really early on in the life of the public internet, there were a couple of people who like there was a whole bunch of press about how this guy registered simpsonsmovie.com just because he thought it'd be a good idea, and then eventually a Simpsons movie happened and he went, oh well, now they're gonna pay me $100,000 for this domain name sort of thing. And there were a couple of stories like that ages ago. So now people are like, I gotta register every single fucking domain I can think of. What are some starfight3d.com. I'm gonna register starfight3d.com because there might eventually be a game called Starfight 3D.
And
so I need that.
The investment, I mean, honestly, the investment is worth it. Like you have to work for it, of course, but like if you're a shady cyber squatter, you can actually make money doing this, and that's why people do it. Go out, you buy a bunch of domains, and like if something gets announced, you buy a domain for it, and you buy everything related domain for it, and then you basically what you do is you reach out to the admins of whatever site is running. Either for that game or for a related game or related fan site or something, and you basically email domain at whatever it is. So like domains@zam.com will hit my email address, and I'll get an email from people all the time saying, "Hey, you have this 3-letter domain name that we like to buy for $500," and we're like, "Haha, no, not happening." By the way, that domain name is actually MXO because we were going to make a Matrix Online site. so yeah, we're definitely squatting on that one. mxo.com. Maybe motocross online or something will become a thing one day.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, like that's what people do. But that's to turn a profit off of out of a business, a reseller business essentially. It's shady and it's kind of shitty. But it's a reseller business. It's not redirecting it to your stupid fucking article about the game. Sorry, I keep going back to that, but it's just like it really rubbed me the wrong way this morning. Yeah,
well, and in fairness, they absolutely should have registered that domain name before, especially like the day before the game is announced. Like, really, there's only so far that you can go in the side of like, we don't want anybody to find out about this ahead of time, so. Like, this happens to Blizzard all the time. Like, a week before BlizzCon, someone finds some patent that was filed or some domain name that was registered. And they go, oh, I wonder what this thing is. And then Blizzard announces something in a week. It's like, oh, that's what it was. It sucks, but, like, that's kind of what you have to do to make sure that you don't lose your domain names to Polygon.
Hey, that's what happened with Overwatch. Yeah, you guys filed a trademark for it, and I went and picked up a bunch of stuff for it 7 months in advance.
Yep.
Well, it could have been nothing. It could have been a book. We had no idea.
Yeah. Well, but like think about I honestly think that companies like Zam are at the most risk for this sort of thing because like the Lego universe, I forget who's actually developing that, but Lego or whoever could have registered that. Lego Dimensions, excuse me. Could have registered that ahead of time because they knew it was coming, right? Mm-hmm. Like if for whatever reason you wanted to make Lego Dimensions Head or something, like you would have had no idea that Lego Dimensions was going to be announced that morning. necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, oh shit, we gotta register head, like register everything head. And I can totally see, like, and I know that Sam is smart enough to do these sorts of things in a big hurry, as evidenced by the fact that an Overwatch site went up in like fucking 4 hours or something after the announcement. Crazy bastards. But and having been like, I feel like I need to mention that having been a ZAM employee at one point and having met those people, it's completely believable that a website just appeared in 4 hours or however. It was a little bit longer than that. It was like 10 hours or something. But like, I've met these people. They will make these sites that fast. Like, it just happens that way. But like, so like I'm using ZAM as an example because I know you guys are smart enough to not have this happen. But like, imagine you were less on top of things, and some other guy was like, oh, this random like Archage or something just got announced, and well, this is an MMO, and I'm gonna register Archhead or something. Like, I feel like a company like ZAM is probably even at a little bit more risk than the companies that are actually in charge of the IPs, because you don't know what your website is going to be until it's public information.
Yes, and that was actually one of the problems we had at Overwatch was we didn't know anything about what it was. It could have been a book again. We knew nothing. We didn't know if it was going to be a head site, a king site, a DB, a wiki, a forums, a guides, whatever. Like, we had no idea until we just bought everything. We did it with Cube World too. We bought when Cube World got big. I sent you that screenshot. Did you still have it?
I don't. No, I had it at work. I don't think I have it here.
Here we go.
Oh wait, it was in Skype.
Cube World DB, Cube World Forum, Cube World Forums, Cube World Head, Cube World King, Cube World Outpost, Cube World Wiki, and we just spam it. We just grabbed everything we possibly could, and I knew that we would never have a Cube World Head. I knew we'd never have a Cube World King. But those are brands, and so we bought them because those are essentially brand Outposts as well. We actually did have a forums, and we did have a wiki, but then the game died because the guy's a dick.
Yeah,
I hate that guy.
I made this game. It's kind of fun. Never mind. I hate you all.
I was talking with somebody earlier today, and he was like, and we were talking about it, he goes, yeah, why do people still talk about that game? Because he goes, yeah, like, people are actually on the Reddit, and they're like counting down the days since the last update. I was like, yes, I know. June 27th is the 2-year anniversary from the last time there was an update. Yes, I am one of those people. He's like laughing. He's like, why? Like, what? I was like, because it was such a good game. I know I have to let it go, but I will. Yeah, it'll haunt me. I'll tell my kids stories about this game, the elusive game. Yeah. It'll be the one that got away story, but with a game instead of a girl.
Yes. So, speaking of the one that got away, I don't know.
The one that almost got away.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trials Frontier.
Yes.
Yeah. So, a switch just flipped right there.
Yes.
Ready to comply. Trials Frontier. Yes, the game that almost got away. It's a must play. Like,
it really is.
It is so good. I didn't expect it to be that good. I'm already rank 13 with in Showdown.
Nice.
I saw you rank 12.
Yeah. If I gotta check actually right now. I've got one that's gonna finish in like half an hour, as long as I can stay on top of that one. No. I think okay. Carry on. I have something I have to do.
That's actually one of the reasons why I pushed this meeting back, by the way. The recording of the show, because I had 6 that were ending right before the show started.
Nice.
So, what Laura is doing right now is actually playing Showdown mode. Showdown mode in Trials Frontier is a mode where you will basically pay using golden tickets, and you can acquire these tickets through gameplay, or you could purchase them in bulk using real money, and you spend these tickets to start up a matchmaking with another individual who is equal rank to you, or roughly. It's a matchmaking service. It could be off a little bit. Then what happens is you get 3 tracks that are randomly selected, 3 bikes randomly selected for those tracks, and you will race those 3. And at the end of a 24-hour period, the person that has the highest score on the best 2 out of 3 on those tracks will win all of the winnings that you have accumulated throughout gameplay. So the way this works is I will pay my tickets to enter into the matchmaking, and I will be matched up with Lore. We have 3 tracks here, and I go through and I get my score on all the tracks. I mess up a little bit on some of them, but whatever, go through. And then at the end of every track, you have a spinning wheel where you spin the wheel and you get to earn something, right? You get it goes into the pot. Every time you complete a match or a track in general, you end up getting an opportunity to spin this wheel and you get something. But in this case, because it's competition, it goes into the pot. Now, 3 tracks, 3 different items added to the pot. Now, Lore goes through and he sees that all 3 of them are red on his screen, which means that he does not own those tracks. He will go through, he will play those 3, and he will beat me on all 3 of them. So now he's added 3 different items to that pot, which has now gotten larger. Now I'm like, fuck this guy. I need to beat this guy, right? There's no way I can go down like this. I will go through, pay more tickets, right? I spend more of these golden tickets to go and compete and complete these tracks. And I will, every time I want to reset the track, it costs me another ticket. This is how it chews through your wallet if you're not careful. And I will eventually beat him, and we may both be asleep and everything's fine. And then the next day it starts up again. We will try to basically beat each other to the point to where somebody finally concedes and just says, fuck it, and just goes and gets another showdown started with somebody else and just loses, just says, forget it. Now, while you own these tracks, you also accumulate chips, and these chips can be used to purchase crafting items, unlock tracks, or even purchase items that you could normally only purchase with real money currency or buying or watching ads or something like that. And that was my BFF report on the showdown mode in Trials Frontier.
Nice.
Are you done?
That's fairly accurate. No, I'm almost. Fuck, no, fuck. God damn it. All right, well, I've got an hour. I'll come back to this.
See, and that's the thing, right? Like, you could be like down to the wire, and you're like trying to beat someone's score. Now I have. And I'm sure you're probably the same because you play plenty of actual trials. I feel like we have like an unfair advantage. Pretty much schooling
some basic
everybody.
Things. Yeah, like some basic things like this is how I should land if I want to keep going. If I want to maintain my momentum through here, I need to land in this sort of position and stuff like that.
Yep. This is how you climb hills. Like that's something that a lot of people are not good at. But yeah, for the most part, I've just been. The only reason why I've lost is if I wasn't around, I forgot and didn't check. And I've only lost, I think, twice, but I pretty much mopped everything like outside of that. And I've actually gotten some top like 5% scores. Like that's how and I'm sure as I progress and I get farther higher up in the ranks, every matchup is going to require a top 5% time in order to beat the other person. Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely gets hard. Like I kind of feel like it tries to match you with people whose bikes are in a similar upgrade status as well. Because like I'm rank 12, you're rank 13. I don't think that I could beat anyone that I'm fighting right now if my bikes weren't as upgraded as they are. Like they would just fly away from me the entire time.
That makes sense.
So I almost feel like it might lead into sort of a backward situation where the more you upgrade your bikes, the harder it kind of gets because you're now hitting the more skilled players sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm making the whole thing up.
And that's, I mean, it sounds like it because for the most part, I have not had a situation where I've completely blown someone away. I mean, occasionally, but there's most of the matches I get into, they're pretty close. Like I'm winning by 1,000th of a second.
Yeah, exactly. But it's really fun.
Those are the greatest when that happens.
Yeah.
The ones
where you're like, The ones where like you're neck and neck with them and you get right to the end and you lean forward and because your head passes through first.
Oh man. Yeah,
it's so good.
And again, that is just showdown mode.
Yeah.
They have so the questing mode, and that was the thing that turned me off initially, is like I got in, it was like, oh, these quests, I have to do all this stuff. Once you get past that, it's like 30 minutes, right? Once you get past that, now you're golden. You're basically racing to unlock tracks just like you would in Trials Fusion or Trials Evolution. And you unlock, and some of the stories are kind of quirky. Like there's this little girl who's like a candy freak, and all she wants you to do, her role in this game is to get you to do tricks on tracks you've already raced normally. It's like go to this track and do 15 backflips or something. And some of them will be timed. It's like, hey, in 1 hour, do 25 backflips, 25 front flips.
Yep.
Regardless of the track.
Later, she like you get through a bunch of those, and then eventually she gets to the point where she's like, okay, now go find candy, and so you have to go to tracks, and like there will be a hidden piece of candy around somewhere in the track that you have to find. So you get to the point where you're not even doing the track to race and do tricks and stuff anymore. You're just like trying to explore around it a bit and find like weird little side paths and stuff. Like there's a couple of them you actually have to from the start go backwards to actually get the piece of candy. It's pretty cool.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And there's some tracks that are just like, just finish this track. Just finish it. I dare you. Just finish this track.
I haven't gotten there yet. I've unlocked the Anba robot, who is having an identity crisis right now, and what his role is he'll spawn a ghost that is another player that is usually really good, and you'll have to race against them. And if you want to, in order to complete a track, you have to beat them. And if you don't like that player and you want to trade out for another one, then you have to pay gems. Again, this is another way they nickel and dime you a little bit. But it's funny. I've spent $20 in the game, and I abused it. Whenever you do the stupid like the Wheel of Fortune thing at the end, and you spin it, whatever item you select. Let's say if you have like a wrench, a nut, a screw, and a blueprint piece, and you really need the wrench, and so you touch the wrench and it grows in size a little bit. You spin the wheel. And
you're ignoring the blueprint piece, I see.
Yes, yeah. We play poorly, very poorly here. So
if you want to do a terrible thing, then ignore the blueprint piece and go after the wrench for some reason.
Spin the wheel. If it doesn't land on that wrench, and you're like, "No, I need that wrench," you have two choices.
I keep getting all the blueprint pieces. God damn it! I'm unlocking all these bikes. This is stupid.
This is dumb. You could either go back and race again, which consumes fuel, which you accumulate over time, but you could very easily burn through it and have to wait to refresh it. This is the timer lock on it that they have on the game. Or you could spend gems to get to roll again. I did that. That's that picture I sent you.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, are you fucking serious?
And the cost of the gems to spin it again goes up, like as you do it.
It cost me so many gems that the thing I needed was taking up 75% of the wheel, and I was still not getting it.
Yeah.
The game was just like, let's see how much money this guy's gonna spend. So whatever my point is, you don't have to spend money, but if you do, you will probably blow it on stupid shit like that anyways.
Yeah, it's definitely a game where if you don't want to spend any money on it, I feel like you can. I feel like you can. It's a free-to-play game that you can get away with not spending money on it. You might not be able to play it quite as much because you're going to be using your fuel more often. And you might get to certain points of it that are frustrating to you, and you'll have to watch a few ads or something to get enough gems to be able to skip the Anba mission that you're on or something. But it's something that you can play it for free and have fun.
Yep.
Or you can spend, I think I've spent like $80 on it at this point. and I have enjoyed, absolutely worth it. Like I will spend another $80 on this game.
Yeah.
It is really, really fun.
Yeah, they did a good job. They did a really good job with the game.
Yeah.
And it's it's iOS or Android.
Mm-hmm.
If you go Android, make sure you add AK Mike B, because I need to send you free stuff so I can get achievements.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep sending lore shit constantly.
Yep.
It's not helping me. I know, but it's not helping me any.
Yeah. You got to unlock that squirrel suit.
I know. Yeah, you have the squirrel suit. How many friends do you have?
A few.
How do you have 10 friends?
Well, you see, no. I just tweeted basically one day I tweeted, I was like, hey, is anyone else playing Trials Frontier? I need a squirrel suit. Add me. And I put my name in there. People were like, oh, well, if it's for a squirrel suit, then I'll download the game right now.
Yeah, the squirrel suit is great. Like I went through and they have a ton of, so like they have all these customization options, the cosmetic options, I should say. Some of them are only attainable by achievements, like that. And that's for your person. You can mix and match helmets, just like Trials Trials Frontier. You can mix and match helmets and jackets and pants and boots or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you're on your bike. You can't. There's no cosmetic in terms of changing the actual design of the bike. I'm sorry, the actual the
shape of the bike.
The shape of the bike, yes. But there's plenty of like color skins and textures you can put on it. Or, not plenty, but there's like a handful. But it is a stupidly fun game. I'm playing it on my Shield. So on one hand, I feel like because I'm comfortable with the controller, like I have a little bit of advantage. At the same time, you get no actual advantage.
Yeah, because like all the controller is doing on the Shield is just moving where the buttons are, basically.
Yeah, it's just basically So I have the mapper on, so I basically made it so joystick right is thumb press here, and that's it. That's all it does. But yeah, it's totally worth it. Totally worth the no money it costs to get this game, and adding AKA Mike B.
Yeah,
and Devil
War. I feel it's DV Morph on it, but yes. I feel like it's interesting, like playing this game and playing games like League of Legends, where I've spent a whole bunch of money on skins. Like people, I feel like I prefer the free to play with a bunch of I'm at the point now where I prefer the free to play with a bunch of microtransactions model, even if there are really a bunch of microtransactions, even if it is a little bit pay to win. I kind of prefer that model versus buy once and own, and you get everything. Because it gives me, like, naturally built in, there's going to be some sort of progression. I can unlock things, and that's just the type of player I am. I like being able to unlock things. I actually kind of get a little bit upset when I have everything right away, because I'm like, well, but what am I going to unlock? Like, hide this stuff behind a gate somewhere so that I can earn it. That's just the kind of, I'm just broken like that. But also it's like, I have a lot, like if I look at my Steam list, there are a lot of games in there that I spent anywhere from $40 to $60 on that I was not pleased with my purchase. I did not feel like what I got out of that was worth $60.
Wait, which game?
There's just lots of games in my Steam list.
Okay,
like it's just a common thing. Like you buy a game for $60, and if you don't like it, well, you're out $60. There you go.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas I would much rather be able to pay something that's in line with what I feel the game is worth to get something out of it. Like I would rather spend $200 on Trials Fusion, or excuse me, $200 on Trials Frontier, and no money at all on something else that I play for a minute and decide I don't like. Like I will happily spend $200 on Trials Frontier because it's a game that I'm enjoying to an ungodly degree.
Yeah.
And I feel personally that that's worth that investment. Like that to me is I'm putting money towards something that I like. That's cool to me. I'm down with that. And I'm not saying that buy once and own is a bad business model or anything. It's just something that I like being able to play a game for a little bit first, get a feel for whether I like it or not. And then if I do like it and it is really enjoyable and I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I'm really, really into this game, then I can put more money into that game than I am in a different game that I don't enjoy. That's kind of my little rant on that.
That makes sense. Like, I mean, oh man.
Like I've probably spent $500 at least on Riot points just to get skins because I'm dumb and I play mostly ARAMs in League of Legends, so I don't get to buy one skin and then pick that champion and use that skin. I need to have a skin for every champion if I want to wear skins most of the time. So when the skins come up on sale, I will generally go, oh yeah, I like playing that character. That one time that I got that character in an ARAM, I liked playing him. I'm going to go ahead and buy this skin because, well, if I get him again, I want to be able to be a slightly different colored turtle. Like, that I will, and I'm totally cool with that. I am pleased with the amount of money that I've spent on League of Legends because I feel like it's a game that's worth it.
Yeah.
I've been, especially before I worked at Blizzard, I've been paying for WoW for ages. And I do not, I don't really want to try and do the math to figure out how much money in total I've spent on WoW, but I know it's probably a pretty large amount, and I feel like that amount, I'm completely okay with the amount of money that I've spent on WoW.
Yeah.
Like, I have no problems with that whatsoever. I prefer when I can spend more money on games that I enjoy more to get more enjoyment out of them, is sort of the way that I look at it.
Yeah, interesting. You're right though. Like, I'm looking at my Steam list right now, and it's like I have Outlast 63 minutes, Sleeping Dogs 0 minutes. I mean, I could probably just go through this list here, and it's just like I don't own a lot of AAA games to be honest, but the ones I do own, I don't have a lot of time on them. And you know, I think what you're describing would definitely exclude indie games. Like Surgeon Simulator would not be included. It's a lower price game. You're talking more like the $60 games.
Yeah,
period,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, like if an indie, like, I feel like just the way that the market in general is heading, I think like the lower price points are becoming more profitable in some ways. Obviously not for like a game that cost $5 million to make.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, Jesus, man. Red Faction Armageddon, 12 minutes. I know I have more time than that, but it's not more than a couple hours. Yeah, it's like I have all these AAA games with like an hour on them, and that's it. And it's like, shit. Yeah. So I totally get what you're saying. Like, there's definitely a number of games that are free to play or like super cheap that have microtransactions that I have shelled out a ton of money on. This is the latest one. Hero Siege is the last one. Hero Siege is it's an indie game, but it's just got its own little store and everything. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like I try not to spend a lot of money on free to play games because it adds up. But I would say that I definitely spend, if I have a really good solid indie game, I've definitely dropped like $50 on it. Oh, Hearthstone, duh. Yeah, there's a game that I've dropped. I don't even want to know how much money I've dropped on that game. And I had so many hours of entertainment from that stupid fucking game. Damn it. But it's that's a really great example. Free to play, and I could earn stuff, or I could just buy packs. Simple, very simple, straightforward monetization system. And then, of course, the adventure modes and everything, like that was just released today, as a matter. No, yesterday. What is today? Black Rock Mountain. You know, right? You work there. What is it again?
Black Rock. Black Rock Mountain is the new adventure. Yeah. There was a new wing of it that opened. I think it's Molten Core.
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember. I need to do that. I still need to finish Nax. I'm only like halfway through it.
Nax was really fun.
Yeah, so far it's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I think the hardest part about that is like scaling to match your target, because while you've dropped $80 on this, what's the average person able to afford to drop on this?
Yeah, that's definitely true.
You know, like, yeah, I could also say, yeah, I've dropped, X amount of dollars on a game, but I can afford that. And but what can the average person who's playing this game afford? If you're getting 1 million downloads on a game, these million people are probably not making, $50,000 a year or more. They're probably making, on average, like, I don't know, 25,000, 30,000, something like that. And maybe throwing down $80 on something on a game is not enough. So this is actually kind of, I'm trying to think of this from like a developer perspective. It's like they have to do a lot of studies to figure out like what that sweet spot is, to maximize money to like quantity and quality.
Yeah, and it's always interesting, like especially having been able to peek behind the curtain a little bit. It's always interesting when you see like there's some big scandal from some company or another about how much this thing costs, and everybody goes, I can't believe that they would make it cost that much. They're never going to make enough money off of it, blah, 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 blah. And like, no, they actually did a ton of research to come to that price point. And they've now determined that that's where they will make the most money, is at that price point, sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yep. And sometimes their research is wrong too. Like sometimes a company will research and be like, we should make it cost this much, and then it doesn't work. Like that totally is a thing that happens. But it's usually been more research than what's the highest number we can think of.
Yeah, exactly. Chromas come to mind. Chromas in League. Have you followed that? Chromas are recolors of skins.
Oh, yeah.
And there's definitely a little bit of an uprising here. So chromas in League, they sell them in packs, like maybe 3 packs, something like that, and they cost RP. And what people are upset about is, they're like, oh, this is so easy to do. And like there was a thread at the top of like Reddit. It's all like, tell me the name of a champion, I'll make you a color variation of it. Like, oh, give me, black, whatever, Nidalee or black. They're all black. Everyone's asking for like black colored characters. But obviously those are like client side only. But still, people were like requesting these things, and the point they were trying to drive home was that it's super easy to do. It takes no time at all. And I can't believe that Riot is charging for it, et cetera, for something so simple. Now, people who I guess pay attention mentioned that there was a survey that they did where they were like, hey, if we could do these these color variations for skins, would you pay for it? Would you pay money for it, whatever? And I guess the answer for that was yes. People were like, yeah, I'll pay money for it. It's all right. It's like, cool. We'll do it. And they did. And people were like, oh, they're charging money for this?
Yeah.
So that's like the hottest like, drama right now in terms of like League. But
especially when especially when someone points the finger at Riot for pricing mishaps. It's like, okay, they do more research on this stuff than literally anyone.
Yeah.
Riot knows what they're doing.
They have so many people working there. They definitely have a go and see if people will buy this shit department.
Yeah.
Pretty much. There's so many people. You've been to Riot HQ, right?
No, I haven't actually.
It's like, and I think they actually have moved. They've moved recently, but yeah, where they were was like nuts. It was like there's a lot of people working there for this one title. Now, yeah, of course, they have like their other things that their secret projects and whatever that they're working on, but there's still a lot of people that work here or work there. Like I think like 2,000 or something ridiculous. But yeah, they basically they hire people to cover all their bases, so they could almost bring everything in house. Now, it does make things a little bit clumsy sometimes when we try to do stuff with them, but for the most part, like it's a massive company. So you're right. They definitely do their research
Yeah.
When it comes to doing things, and it may not always be in the, and this is actually goes for a lot of like companies. When they announce a price point for a card pack or whatever, guess what? That price point was probably researched, and that was the point that where they're gonna make the most money off of it, without just flat out giving it away.
Yep. Yep.
Anyway, so hey, have you heard of this book, Ready Player One?
I've heard of it. Haven't read it.
Spielberg is apparently going to direct the movie.
Interesting.
So Jen read this book. My wife, she read this book, and she's like, "You have to read this book." Like she read it like a couple months ago. She says, "You have to read this book. You have to." And she's like, she read me an excerpt from it, and she's like, "It totally speaks your language." And I'm like, and it's funny because I'm like, "How do you know what that language is? Do you really know what that language is?" And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll think about it. I've only read one book in the past like decade, so I'm not necessarily a book reader. And so she gave it to one of her coworkers to read. And I know this guy, his name's Ash, and he is a huge nerd, right? Just as much as a nerd as I am. And he read the book, and he's like, "Oh my God, Mike has to read this book." And so it's like, okay, fine, you know,
Fine.
if your local nerd says I should read it, and you say I should read it, and Steven Spielberg's gonna make the movie for it, fine, I'll read it. So I have the book here. You can hear the wind blowing off of the pages as I flip them.
I can hear the literature.
I'm gonna read the little thing on the back of the page here. I haven't read this yet, so bear with me. In the year 2044, reality is an ugly place. The only time teenage Wade Watts really feels alive is when he's jacked into the virtual utopia known as the Oasis. Wade's devoted his life to studying the puzzles hidden within this world's digital confines, puzzles that are based on their creators' obsession with pop culture of decades past, and that promise massive power and fortune to whoever can unlock them. But when Wade stumbles upon the first clue, he finds himself beset by players willing to kill to take this ultimate prize. The race is on, and if Wade's going to survive, he'll have to win and confront the real world he's always been so desperate to escape. So, now that I've read that, this makes me not want to read it. I'm going to try to read this. A lot of people online have actually, after Spielberg like mentioned that he was gonna like, you know, direct the movie or produce the movie or whatever, suddenly everybody has read this book.
Yeah.
People who I didn't think could read are like, I read this book. Oh my God, I can't wait. And it's like, oh shit. So I feel like I have to. And you know what, Lore?
Huh?
I feel like you have to as well.
No.
I feel like you do.
Well, I have time now because I just beat this guy by almost a full second. And I don't think he's gonna be able to beat my time. So I feel like I've got this one in the bag. I've got two that are about to finish. That might actually put me all the way to 10. And I'm feeling pretty good about my showdowns now.
All right, so how much time does that free up right now?
What?
Okay, so how long to your next showdown then?
45 minutes.
Okay. Everyone my age remembers where they were and what they were doing when they first heard about the contest. I was sitting in my hideout watching cartoons when the news bulletin broke on my video feed announcing that James Holliday had died during the night. I've heard of Holliday, of course. Everyone had. He was a video game designer responsible for creating the Oasis, a massively multiplayer online game that had gradually evolved into the globally networked virtual reality most of humanity now use on a daily basis. The unprecedented success of the Oasis had made Holliday one of the wealthiest people in the world. At first, I couldn't understand why the media was making such a big...